So, I got my little internal probe thermometer here. You can get them in any kitchen store. But it's like 154, so like mashing, you want it between 150 and 160. I try to hit it, try to stay in between, like 155. But here's our grain. You can see how it's been crushed. But you don't want to turn it into like too much of a powder. The reason I'm going past 155 to maybe I'll hit 160 and turn it off is because that once you take the grain and put it in there, it's going to reduce the temperature by a few degrees. So I'm about to do that in 1 second. So I stopped at about 158. I'm going to go ahead and just take the grain and put it in there. I'm doing 8 pounds of Maris solder, 1 pound of rye, 1 pound of Special B, and just kind of kind of let it gently soak down in there. So just kind of pull the grain bag on the outside here and let the grain kind of just get hydrated here. And I'll take a little ladle and kind of mix in the grain. So you just kind of want to push the grain into all the mash water. So I mashed in all the grain there. So you use about 1.3 quarts of water per 1 pound of grain when you're mashing. And the idea again for mashing is to add a liquid between 150 to 160 at this point for a single infused mash, which is keeping it one temperature. It creates, there's enzymes there, and you need like the water and the temperature to kind of create a reaction to turn all the starch kind of fermentable, to keep it simple. And I'm going to heat up some sparge water. Sparging is the next process, which is just rinsing. Sparging means to rinse. And what I'm going to do is rinse in my cooler here. Just kind of get a cooler. I happen to find a cooler that my brew bucket spigot will fit right directly on. And what we're going to do is, after it takes about an hour, and just keep it sit between 150 and 160 for about an hour, and then you transfer the grain into here. And then we're going to heat up water about 180 degrees to sparge. So here we are, a little bit into the mash. It's been in about 15 minutes, so it had dropped down about 7 degrees, which is fine. So what's the nice thing about this is, if it gets too cold, you have it on the stove, so you just kind of turn it up a little bit and just maintain it in between 150 and 160. You don't want to go over 160 because it will have a chance, it might actually stop the enzymatic reaction. And that's why when you sparge it at like 170-ish, that's what it stops the process, and also rinses the grain. Also, when you're starting your mash, you want to start heating up your sparge water, because this will take quite a while to heat up. In sparging, you want to around like 170 degrees. Now, since mashing, this has all your grain with about 3 gallons of water and 10 pounds of grain. It's going to absorb about 60% of that water. And so when you're going to boil, you're going to need about 6 gallons of water. So I'm heating up 4 gallons of water so that I end up with about 6 gallons after I sparge and when I'm boil. Because whenever you boil, you're gonna have like evaporation about a gallon. But I'm using 2 pots, and I will use a lid on each one, which will help that so it doesn't evaporate as much as boiling without it. So also, relax. It's not that big a deal. Have a beer. It's only beer, right? I mean, it's not the end of the world. And also another piece of equipment that is very must is a wort chiller. You can make your own. I've seen some recipes. Recipes. I've seen some diagrams on the internet, but mine just kind of came with something I bought off of eBay from somebody. And an essential book is Charlie Papazian's The Joy of Home Brewing. I look at this all the time, whether you're a beginner, expert. I mean, it's a great book. It's everything you ever want to know about brewing. Step 1 of all kinds and styles. And so right now we're going to let this mash between 150 and 160 for about an hour. And it'll take that time for water to heat up to get it as hot as I can, and then kind of batch sparge, and I'll kind of explain that when the next step. All right, bye.